Mr. Chairman, how concerned are you that your candidate's in jail the week of the convention?
We are now 9 days out from the first presidential debate, and I am fully confident that President Biden will deliver. He has been on point lately, whereas Donald Trump has been slowly losing his mind. We got a new report that Donald Trump is reportedly terrified of what prison he may go to. He's been talking about it a lot with his closest allies. This article reads, Trump has reportedly been voicing concerns about what kind of prison he could be sent to. And remember, Donald Trump figures out his sentencing on July 11th. That is the date, and it is 4 days before the RNC in Milwaukee. The timing there is insane. On July 11th, Judge Juan Merchan will announce whether convicted felon Donald Trump will be sentenced to prison time following his conviction last month on 34 felony counts. Currently, the prevailing wisdom is that Trump will not actually be given time behind bars, given that, among other things, he's a first-time offender and a former president of the United States, the latter of which would make imprisoning him a logistical nightmare. Still, the chances of Trump getting time are not nothing, and at least one person in particular is apparently pretty concerned he might: Donald Trump. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump was attacking Judge Merchan and Judge Merchan's daughter throughout the entire case, and Judge Merchan very well could take that into account. That could be one factor, not the only factor, not even the largest factor, but that could be a factor that Judge Merchan looks at. Another interesting piece about the RNC and the sentencing being so close in timing is that a lot of people behind the scenes, a lot of RNC strategists are now being pressed on what they would do if Donald Trump is in jail when the RNC comes around. I played a clip at the beginning of the video, and I'll play another one in a second, but this article continues. Puck News' Tara Palmieri reports that, quote, the prospect of serving prison time appears to be sinking in more forcefully, and the former, and perhaps future, president has been peppering friends and aides with specific questions about what that might entail, including, quote, what type of jail do you think they'll send me to? Palmieri ran this question by former prosecutor Eli Honig, and while he does not believe that Trump will get prison time, should the scenario actually come to pass, it should likely play out in an upstate New York prison like the Putnam County Correctional Facility in Carmel. Quote, I had a couple of highly sensitive defendant and witness types who were moved up there for safekeeping. As prisons go, it's okay. Nice drive up there. There's also this massive concern that Donald Trump has all of these national security secrets, and sending him to prison could put those secrets in jeopardy, because we know that Donald Trump is impulsive. He likes to talk. And obviously he wouldn't be put with the general public. He'd be protected by Secret Service in some cordoned off section. But I do think that Donald Trump going to prison with all of these national security secrets could be a risk in some way. In related news, NBC reported on Thursday that Team Trump is prepping for a possible scenario in which the former guy is unable to attend the Republican National Convention, which begins days after his hearing. The report reads, preparations are being made at both Mar-a-Lago, his home in Florida, and in Milwaukee, the host city for the convention next month, should Trump either choose to make appearances from afar or be unable to attend, according to two sources familiar with the planning. In case of potential house arrest, the RNC is already setting up convention-themed staging at Mar-a-Lago, along with a massive screen at the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, where most convention activities will take place. Quote, if you look at what has been released about the stage at our convention, it's going to be the highest tech stage ever, a Republican operative who has toured the convention site said. They all speak like Trump now. It's going to be the most tremendous stage that you've ever seen. Quote, it will allow the campaign to utilize people not in Milwaukee to be projected into the hall. This will give President Trump an opportunity to participate in more days of the convention if he chooses to, the person continued. A campaign representative even told NBC, quote, the campaign in conjunction with the RNC is planning an amazing convention program that will highlight the party and officially designate President Trump's nomination. President Trump will be featured as an active part of this official event and celebration of our pathway to victory in November. And this is coming at a time where Donald Trump is clearly suffering from some sort of cognitive decline. We see him on stage ranting about sharks and his MIT professor uncle. We're getting new reports that a journalist that worked very closely with him realized how terrible his memory is. Watch this clip of Ramin Satuda talking on MSNBC about Donald Trump's mental decline.
The other thing that I think is really interesting, because I really got to know Donald Trump post-presidency, and I got to see what he was like. And over the weekend, he was talking about how Joe Biden needs to take a cognitive test. Joe Biden, isn't all there. Donald Trump had severe memory issues. as the journalist who spent the most time with him, I have to say he couldn't remember things. He couldn't even remember me. We spent an hour together in 2021 in May, and then a few months later, I went back to the White House. I went back to Trump Tower to talk to him about his time in the White House, and I said. He had this vacant look on his face, and I said, "Do you remember me?" And he said, "No." He had no recollection of our lengthy interview that we had, and he wasn't doing a lot of interviews at that time. So I think that the American public really needs to see this portrait of Donald Trump, because this shows what he is like and who he is and who he has always been.
And here's the interesting thing. Both sides right now are saying that the other side's candidate is completely senile. Obviously, Republicans say the same thing about President Biden that we say about Donald Trump's cognitive decline. But the difference is, the major difference is, we have had close allies, people close to Donald Trump, confirm his mental decline, like that clip I just showed you. We have seen videos of Donald Trump on stage, and not just 5-second clips. We have seen minute-long, 2-minute-long, 5-minute-long videos of Donald Trump rambling about sharks, rambling about his MIT professor uncle, whereas President Biden, this entire narrative that he's too old is a function of short-form content being so mainstream that I genuinely think most American citizens haven't heard President Biden speak for a minute straight. I'm going to repeat that. I genuinely think that most American citizens, probably a lot of voters, haven't heard our president speak for an entire minute. They've only seen these 5-second clips, and that's why I have my overwhelmingly liberal friends who are pro-choice, who are pro-gay marriage, who want education reform and gun reform, but they think that President Biden is too old because they only scroll through TikTok, and you're not going to see an amazing moment of Biden on Howard Stern on TikTok. No, you're going to see Biden's worst moments being pushed by probably foreign bots, and that is why this entire narrative has been drafted. Short-form content going mainstream really did hurt our politics, because these 60-second videos, these 30-second videos allow you to skirt around a lot of the facts of the case and just draw your own narrative, and people do that anyways. Obviously, you'll find propaganda on Fox News as well, but there's just this perfect pipeline where essentially the New York Post will post some fake story. That story will get picked up and go viral on TikTok, and then Sinclair Broadcasting will then broadcast that story to all of these local stations, and then boom, this kernel of a lie that originated on TikTok or from the New York Post is now a viral, a nationwide story, and none of these stories are good for President Biden because they're just selectively edited clips. We've seen them do this so many times in the past few weeks, and that's because that is all that Republicans have. They don't have any policy prescriptions to help out voters. They don't have any real solutions to any of the problems that people face in our country, but they do have 5-second clips of President Biden, and right now it seems to be working. The polls are neck and neck, which I understand if you don't believe the polls, but right now they say that the race is neck and neck, and it's not because Biden has been an ineffective president. It is because of disinformation on social media. I truly believe that. I truly believe, I've said this a few times, most voters haven't heard President Biden speak for long enough to know that he is a compassionate, genuine, empathetic human being. So the onus should be on us to spread these clips of President Biden doing amazing during his interviews and speeches. Last night I did a live stream where I watched Howard Stern and President Biden talking. I got to interact with the audience, and we got to spread the message that President Biden is a great, compassionate dude, and these 5 to 10-second clips can be misleading. When you watch a full interview, when you zoom out and watch an entire interview, President Biden does great. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit the subscribe button, and have a great day.